Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product video on the Teruyasu Fujiwara Nashiji Honesuki 150mm Japanese boning knife. That's a mouthful. This line of knives from this master blacksmith has a core steel of Shirogami or white paper #1 carbon steel. The heat treat rating on this line of knives is somewhat unique in that he's taken this white #1 to an unusually high hardness rating of 64 to 65 Rockwell, which can kind of transform the properties of the steel, making it have higher edge retention as well. Interesting approach to the steel. The construction on this is a stainless cladding over the top of that white #1 core. And this has a Nashiji or pear type mottled finish on it that's very nicely done. It is rustic, but it's really refined rustic. And you can see this has a pretty large cladding line. If we kind of look right here, it's a little tough with the light, but there's a fairly large cladding line right along here on both sides of the blade. So this is a really, really finely crafted tool here. The weight on this is quite light at 119 grams or 4.2 ounces. Part of that's because it has a wah handle versus a western handle. The blade length is about 6 inches on the edge, and the overall length is about 11.6 inches. The spine at the base is fairly thick, as Honesuki's are standardized, or usually are, and this is about 4.2 millimeter, and then it tapers down a bit as you get towards the tip where the chisel part comes down towards the grind of the knife, where it thins out, and the blade height is 38.5 here at the heel. The handle type is just kind of a good basic octagonal Howood buffalo horn ferrule, nothing super fancy. And as is traditional blacksmith, they don't do a lot with handles. The handle circumference is a little bit smaller than a standard 3, but it fits this knife extremely well. It's 2 3/4 inches in circumference, which I measure about right there. And the out-of-the-box edge on this thing, this baby is sharp. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Never give anything a 10, but this is a screaming sharp blade and a nice wide bevel on it. He is not bashful about how he sharpens this knife, or whoever he has sharpening this knife. The edge does have some nice bite to it. This is a wonderful out-of-the-box edge. The type of grind on this is a single bevel right-hand bias. So here's your large bevel coming off the main face of the right-hand side of the blade, and then the back side is flat. So this is a right-handed knife. This is not for lefties. I wish it were. It's a beautiful knife. On the back side, we've got a fairly large edge bevel on there. So this is not a micro bevel or anything. This is a pretty good large-sized back bevel on the flat side, which is a little unusual. But the steel being hardened to this hardness rating lends itself to steeper edges, so they've taken advantage of that. And you can see it's got a nice wide bevel on the right side of the knife as well. It's a little hard to characterize without holding this in your hand, but you can tell a master blacksmith has done this knife. It just has impeccable grind and feel to it, and history just feeling the blade. This part near the back is a traditional implementation of a handle, and this is called the maki, where the back part of the neck kind of narrows down into the tang of the knife. This is not a mistake. This is a traditional handle mount, and what it does is gives you a little bit more gap between the heel of the knife here, the choil part, and the front of the handle for a little bit more space for a pinch grip. So this is not a mistake. This is a beautiful classic implementation of a wah handle. So if you're interested in a wonderful carbon core, stainless clad, beautiful, beautiful blade with wonderful performance. Here you have the Teruyasu Fujiwara Nashiji Honesuki 150mm Japanese boning knife.